to say thank you to Minister Mathura and our defense staff, all who helped make this conference possible. Thank you for the presence of the distinguished guests, Minister Moxie also. I want to thank all of you, especially those of you from here in Suriname, for taking the time out of your schedule, as Carl said, to prioritize this event and participate in this event. This is something that hopefully, or I shouldn't say, this is something that I feel strongly will benefit both the South Dakota National Guard and the Armed Forces of Suriname. As Southcom Commander General Richardson has said so many times in her travels throughout South America and the Caribbean, talent knows no gender. And I think over the course of today, tomorrow, this is something that all of you should keep in mind as you go through your discussions. Things like leadership across genders, gender affirmative action, meaningful participation, family planning while in the military. These are all extremely important topics. And as we work together for the future of our services, of our organization, let's keep in mind that inclusion can be a force multiplier, and that inclusion allows us to build strong, diverse teams that are going to address the complicated challenges of the 21st century that affect all of us, especially affect our soldiers. Study after study has shown, whether in the private sector or whether in the government, that organizations that are diverse get better results. When there are people in the room from diverse backgrounds and different viewpoints, consistently those organizations are going to be more effective and get better results than organizations where that are more homogeneous and lack that diversity. At this point, this is indisputable. And so,
the Women, Peace and Security, WPS concept, is not an unfamiliar phenomenon in Suriname. Early records of women in the military go back to the year 1980, when the first women joined the armed forces. Other security agencies experienced the same development at that time, and some of these women are still around. Our Minister of Defense, for example, did the military basic training back in 1980, in the 1980s, which was still a requirement before entering the police force during the military regime in the 1980s. The minister made a career as commissioner, and with her, there were a few that left their footprint in the national security branch. In regards to the military police force was one of the branches that had women in the ranks, and they demonstrated to be of significant value. It was still recently that within the higher staff of this branch, we had women in the majority. I know that you can remember Major Ponit, who was the second in command of this branch, Major Ramnat, Major Jinko, Major Dankalui, and on NCO level, we know Sergeant Major Planto and Sergeant First Class Steindal. And everybody knew them for who they were and what they could be as professionals. Over the decades, we have seen more and more women joining the Surinamese armed forces. There is no legal barrier for women to grow in ranks, yet leadership, professional attitude, integrity, all ingredients to be a truly disciplined, honest, and competent soldier, and thus a role for others, needs to be present. The traditional view on women and from women as well needs to be halted. We usually think that women are only fit for desk jobs and administrative and logistical tasks. This needs to be shifted. I urge women staff to put in even more effort and prove themselves, especially when it comes to carrying out tasks, instructions, or assignments that are traditionally assigned to men but are not impossible for women to perform. I also urge men to stop treating women as if they are only fit for these soft jobs. I urge women military personnel to improve their physical condition. I also urge and instruct the men to be receptive and supportive in their daily work, in their contact with women, and especially men when it comes to achieving WPS objectives within our organization. Once again, it takes two to tango. To conclude, more can be achieved for women, and especially by women. I encourage men and women in the military, especially those in leadership positions, to keep developing their skills and to educate and coach their subordinates, particularly concerning equal and meaningful participation of men and women in peace and security processes. My thanks goes to the team that organized this conference, each and every one of you. And in particular, I thank the SDNG for joining forces to create more awareness about this WPS concept. I wish you all fruitful discussions, and remember, competence is the key, and it takes two to tango.
Diversity is a gift, and we should embrace it and we should cherish it. And let me welcome you all to the Women, Peace and Security Conference. It's a true pleasure to have you all here gathered for a two-day event of knowledge sharing and enrichment. I show great appreciation for the team of the South Dakota National Guard, the Security Cooperations Office in Suriname, staff of the Ministry of Defense, and everyone involved in initiating and organizing this momentous event. Thank you so much. A special thank to the Ambassador McDonald for providing us with information on leadership across genders and all other presenters in the two-day conference. Ladies and gentlemen, all women should have opportunity to make decisions on policies and programs that determine their own safety and security. We know that when women are fully included in decision-making, societies are more likely to prevent and resolve conflict and establish enduring and resilient peace outcomes. As Minister of Defense and as part of the government, I can assure you that we will keep empowering women and promoting equality and inclusion, which fits seamlessly with today's theme of women's leadership and inclusion. The objective is to have equal opportunities in development and equal access to leading positions, to be part of and engage in defense and security-related matters. With respect to development and leading positions, I want to emphasize that they are intertwined. This means that having competent people in leadership positions is crucial for development. It is of utmost importance to have the best candidates, men and women, to lead the organization and protect the community. That's why I applaud the particular relation with the South Dakota National Guard. We learn, we cooperate, we work together to inform our personnel what needs to be done, but more importantly, how it can be done.
From the moment that I joined the military, I have served with female soldiers. I've been a military policeman. I've been a paratrooper. I've been a combat engineer, finding improvised explosive devices, and now I'm a logistics officer. And in every one of my postings, I've served with women. And I have learned from the very first day that I joined the military that if we limit ourselves, we don't get great leadership. If we exclude 50% of our population that might be women, we don't move our organizations forward. Our job is to defend our nations and prevent mass casualties or tragic events from happening. And I think that when we start discussing what women's peace and security means to us, we will see that maybe it's a different dynamic in each country. But the one thing that we can take away from this is where we meet in the middle and how our organizations progress forward.
Why is WPS important, and why is the need for WPS? The U.S. national security strategy specifically outlines that societies are more peaceful and prosperous when women and men enjoy the same rights, liberties, dignities, and access to resources. The participation, involvement, and decision-making and leadership of women is critical to sustaining democratic institutions. When women actively and intentionally contribute to defense and security sectors, nations are more secure, stable, and more inclusive of the entire population. The WPS upholds our commitment to human rights and makes the U.S. a more credible partner by supporting the development of profession and diverse partner nation militaries.
Let me start by saying that women are the nation's founders and they present half of the global population. This was said by the Secretary General of the United Nations not too long ago. He said that, according to the Secretary General of the United Nations, women account for 50% of human capital, and that's the greatest human resource next only to men with great potential. Consequently, women play a vital role in today's combat missions. They are soldiers on the front line, they are pilots, vehicle drivers, mechanics, infantry officers, medics, clerks, dog handlers, drivers, intelligence analysts, or military police, but they are also still spouses, mothers, and sisters. Today's military is much more integrated along gender lines than in any other time in history. Women are no longer excluded from any type of combat mission. They are pilots and vehicle drivers and mechanics, as I said before. This trend is presently also being recognized in developing countries like Suriname, since whatever we do these days with respect to sustainable development, we need to tap out of a pool of the best people available, no matter the gender or the industry that they're working in.